The first step is moving into a place where you just stop and understand that what you're thinking of isn't actually real. I don't mean like a false reality, and I don't mean, hey, you're in an alternate universe or anything weird like that. I'm just talking about, hey, wait a second, let's take a pause. Let's actually stop for a moment and consider, what is the story that you're telling yourself? What is the lie that you're believing? What is the thought that's going through your head? Narcissists lie over and over and over and over again. You're going to see this over and over again. Inside of this piece of lying, you get to the place where you start to believe the lies that he's saying. Now, for many years, I carried on affairs. This is a part of my life that I'm very public about, that my wife and I are public about on our podcast. It's not a secret and it's not a shaming thing. It's just a piece of saying, this has been who I've been. This is how I've shown up. This is all of shit that I've caused inside of our life, and the things that have been destroyed and the things that have been hurt. So inside of this place, there were a plethora of lies that came about. Lies to protect my image, lies to protect those relationships, lies to hide different things, and also lies that I would give other people so that they would believe. You see, the goal inside of the cheating, the goal inside of all of this is to keep it hidden, right? There's a certain piece of excitement of keeping something hidden. There's a certain adventure of everything. There's a certain high that a person gets addicted to. A million other things, but we're just trying to talk about this. And inside of here, there's all these lies that get sold to other people. Now, other people start to believe the lies, the more the lies are told. So the more I would tell my wife I'm not cheating on her, even though she saw different nuances, different red flags, different pieces of the puzzle, thinking, I think he is, she wouldn't believe him. Not fully. She wouldn't believe him fully because she didn't have the proof, she didn't have the confession, she didn't have the evidence. And so they became lies that she started to believe over a period of time. Now, the interesting thing inside of here is you start to believe the lies that the narcissist places upon you. But then over time, you start to believe your own lies that you construct yourself. Bear with me for a second. The narcissist places tons of lies on you. You're cheating, you're emotionally abusive, like you're the extra one, you can't communicate, like they'll place all of these on you. How many of you have had narcissists place lies upon you? Just type in me down below into the chat, just so other people know and understand, hey, it's happened before. Okay, narcissists will put lies on you, project lies on you, like place different things on you that are complete lies, complete and utter lies. But then you start getting to the place that you start believing their lies and you start making up your own lies. This is where it sounds a little difficult. When we talk about this piece of making up lies, is the aspect of where you start believing what he's saying, and then you start internalizing what he's saying, and then you start reviewing and almost believing this piece of what he's been saying so that when he leaves or when you get free, you still say it to you. Now, this might happen in the simple place of I'm not good enough. Because I'm not good enough, that's why he left me. If I had been a better wife, then he wouldn't have gone out and cheated. If I would have given him the sex that he wanted, then he wouldn't have gone out and cheated. If I would have given him the threesome that he asked for, then he wouldn't have left me. Like, there's so many different pieces that you'll start to believe and think based on what he told you. But then you start to believe them and you start to put them and internalize them. You start to get to the place where your mindset, your thought process, your emotions have all been conflicted simply because he keeps telling you one thing that's completely not true. He keeps projecting onto you that you're inadequate, that you're not good enough, that the weight that you've been losing still isn't good enough, that the weight that you've been gaining makes you look this way. Like, there's so many pieces and nuances. There'll be aspects where you put on an outfit and then he slowly belittles you. Is that what you're wearing? Well, why don't you just tell me what to wear? Because I don't know what you want. He's like, well, I would never do that. But he's slowly manipulating and gaslighting you into believing his version of reality. That's what narcissists do. So there's this piece where you have the lies and the lies that are impressed upon you. And then there's the lies that you start to believe based on what he's saying. It's like the lies that my wife believed, that I was being honest or that I wasn't cheating. There was a piece where she knew these aren't true, but I don't have any other evidence, so I guess that's what I have to believe in the moment. But then it starts to switch into the lies you tell yourself. Now, this is where it's interesting because everyone tells lies, okay? Everyone is a liar to some degree on themselves, of not seeing, of not understanding, of not believing, of not acknowledging the things that are actually going on in their mind and heart that I haven't dealt with. Sometimes you're at a place where you're completely unaware that you're full of lies. That you're unaware that the things that you're thinking are lies, are stories that you've made up. Stories about who you are, stories about what you believe, stories about like all different aspects that have actually limited your thought process. They've limited who you are. Everybody has different stories and lies that have been impressed upon them, not just in the narcissistic relationship, but for years. You have different inner workings and inner stories that have just been inside your life for all of your life. Maybe because they got implanted there from childhood with your mom and your dad, from friends, from family, from siblings, from relationships, from education, from religion, all different things that got placed upon you. And oftentimes those got placed upon you and you started believing them about yourself. Well, you have to do this in order to earn love. You have to do this to be able to gain acceptance. You have to do this. This is who you are. This is how you live. This is the label for your life. All of these different pieces become lies that you believe. Now, until we change the lie that you believe, until we change the inner story that you're thinking on, nothing changes. You might have heard the phrase or the idea that if you think you can't, then you can't. Simply because how you operate your life is built off the inner dialogue and the stories that you tell yourself. Now, what happens if those stories are misaligned with truth? If they're not actually lined up with the facts of the situation, which is what a narcissist does to you all the time. He misaligns you to stuff that doesn't actually make sense, that's not actually real, and you're left confused, lost, and frustrated. Well, when this happens, you get to a place where you start to believe certain lies. You start to internalize the stories. The problem is when the stories aren't true at all, and you don't think that they're true at all, but you still operate like they are. We have to be able to step into this process of mentally rewiring your mindset. I'm going to walk through this in 4 simple steps. The first step is moving into a place where you just stop and understand that what you're thinking of isn't actually real. I don't mean like a false reality, and I don't mean, hey, you're in an alternate universe or anything weird like that. I'm just talking about, hey, wait a second, let's take a pause. Let's actually stop for a moment and consider, what is the story that you're telling yourself? What is the lie that you're believing? What is the thought that's going through your head? When we identify this, well, I'm not good enough, which is why he left me. You start to realize, okay, if I just take a stop and I just pull out of the busyness, of the heckness of life, I need to be able to consider, what is his actual thought? Okay, it's like this idea where you pull this thought out of your head and you're like, all right, I'm going to take a moment, I'm going to stop, I'm going to pause, I'm going to think on this to actually see what's actually going on. First thing is stop. Second thing is called submit. When I'm talking about submit, I'm saying, hey, we need to actually take a look at the story, the lie, the thing that you're believing, and we need to actually have it submit to the facts of the situation. Like, what are the current facts that prove or deny that item? What are the facts that tell, hey, this is what's actually going on. This is what's actually happening. And you might have to list these out. You might have to have the thought there and actually list out, what facts do I have? What evidence supports this? What thing actually demonstrates that the thought I'm thinking is actually real? I'm not good enough because he left me. We'll stick with that one. What are the facts? Well, like, everything I did wasn't good enough. No matter what I did, he's still left. He's still not here. I changed up all the things he asked me to change up, and that still didn't match up. I know that other people say that I'm good enough. I know that I have value, but I don't feel like it in the moment. And you start just listening over and over, all these different facts. And the facts are just helping you submit for just a moment, saying, okay, I need to look at this based on evidence, not based on feelings. Your feelings will always lie to you. Your feelings will always lead you down a road that is not helpful or healthy for you. So we have to step into a moment of like logic and deal with facts. Then we move into step 3, which is called struggle. And struggle is piece of you fighting with your mind. Like, this is you stepping onto the battleground of saying, here's the thought that I believe, and here are the facts that actually disprove my thought. Like, the facts that actually say I do have value, I am worthy. Like, I am good enough, regardless of how he left me, regardless of what he did, regardless of what he said. Like, I showed up. I continued to invest in the relationship, continued to invest in him, and he wasn't willing to do that, which is a result, he went to another woman. So you're going to have this mind battle inside your thought process of, what do I actually want to believe? And oftentimes it's going to be your feelings fighting with your facts. The feelings of, I think this is what I need to believe, but the facts are completely different. I get this all the time. I'll have certain feelings that want to drive certain conclusions, thinking, oh, this doesn't work. I can't do this. I haven't figured this out. When in reality, the facts show something completely different. But if I only look at the feelings, it will radically adjust how I'm actually living my life. I have to look at the facts first, then I can do the feelings. But I can't let my feelings dictate my facts. Otherwise, we're screwed. We step into the land of fantasy and nothing actually happens but fiction and a false reality that doesn't actually move me forward. So we have to be able to go through this struggle process of the story you believe and the facts of the situation. And then the fourth step, just to follow the alliteration, is called strike. And that means taking action. That means taking what's actually here inside my mind, being able to submit it to the facts, be able to struggle with it, and come out of the other side saying, I'm going to take action on the actual facts of the situation. Not on how I feel. And regardless of how I feel, I'm going to set that aside for a moment. I'm going to make a move that actually helps me grow, change, and develop. I'm going to make a move that actually helps me become the person that I'm called to be. Even though it doesn't feel right in the moment, I know it's the right move simply because of who I am, of where I'm at, and of what's going on based on facts. You might have heard that the truth will set you free. The phrase that I use all the time is the facts will set you free. Because the facts are just the evidence, the demonstration of what's actually happening in the moment. If we don't help you get free with the facts, your feelings will run the show. It'll leave you stuck. It'll bring you back to the toxic guy over and over and over again, and you won't be free. You'll still be stuck. You'll still be confused. You'll still be lost. You'll still be frustrated. I want to help you understand this system and how I actually help liberate women from toxic relationships by helping you actually lead your facts and not have your feelings lead your facts, but you actually be in charge of your reality, of the direction you want to go, of your liberation inside mentally, emotionally, physically, to get out of the toxic relationship and to just find clarity for you. Maybe you're stuck in the relationship, maybe you're out of the relationship, but you're still stuck mentally and emotionally, obsessing and almost feeling addicted to him. If that's you today, I want you to reach out for help. Go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough today to hear a short video of how I help break women out of toxic relationships and find freedom. If you're trapped, I want to help you find freedom today.